Thank you for being here. It's another live stream. I'm already does it, or as you know me as Rashid. And this morning I want to make another live stream for you because I have the time to do it. And it's a topic that there are a lot of misconceptions about. I want to clear away some of those misconceptions. So again, if you're here, let me know the live chat you're here, please. Thank you very much. I hope to have an interactive live with you. So hold on, let me open my mobile phone. Yes, the live chat is open on my mobile phone. So please let me know when you're here. The topic of today is too good to be true situations. Daniela, thanks for being here. I haven't seen you before. This is your first time on my live. If the rest can let me know that they're here. Also, oh Joe, thank you very much for letting me know that you're here. All right. So before I continue, are you all updated or catch up in my latest live streams? Let me know. If I'm going way too fast, I'll slow down with the amount of live streams. So let me know if you've catch up with my latest lives. All right. By the way, Daniela, thanks for being here. Okay. Sean can hear me clearly. Okay, that's a good sign. Well, I'm not going to wait any longer. Class has begun. Those that come in later can just um, can replay it later, replay it back. Okay. Just one question to all of you, because I want this live to be interactive. That's why it's a live and not just a YouTube upload. Have you ever had a situation that was not bad, but you felt as if the situation was too correct or too right? The situation did not appear bad, but it seemed too good. Let me know in the live chat. Often, when people encounter situations like that, they don't know what to do about it. Look, if a situation looks bad, you have reason to get out, and nobody will blame you. For the rest that just came in, you haven't missed much because I just began with the class. The thing is, let me give an example to you. If you arrive at a restaurant and it's completely empty, there's a huge stench over there, a very bad smell, and you call 3 times for the owner or the waiter, but nobody comes. If you leave that situation, nobody's going to blame you. Because first of all, why is the restaurant open when nobody is there? Secondly, what's that weird stench over there? So in this case, you have a situation that's obviously wrong. So if you leave that situation, nobody can blame you. But what if um, you arrive somewhere and you meet some people over there, and very quickly everything falls into its place. Everything happens smoothly in your life. Now, you just arrived there 2 weeks ago. You didn't know anyone. Now, 2 weeks later, you know almost everyone over there, and you have a few people willing to help you out with your studies, with moving in, and all of that. So that's a good situation. Things are working in your favor. Now, in this case, it's not a bad situation. Okay? However, you have to check the context, okay? And that is what I'm teaching you in this life. It's not just the situation you need to look at, it's also the context in which the situation takes place. Look, if you enter a restaurant and it's completely empty and there's a bad odor, but in a ghost town, a abandoned town, well, of course you're going to encounter a place like that because it's an abandoned place. It's been abandoned for a while. So, of course, any building you enter in is going to have a weird odor or some weird uh, um, smell or whatever. So, yes, in that case, it's just to expect that you will encounter such stuff. What if it's in the center of a city where you have hundreds of thousands of people crossing the streets every day and you enter and the restaurant's open? Now, that's a bad context. If it's an abandoned town and you encounter a restaurant where there's nobody there and there's a weird smell, then yeah, it's an abandoned town. It matches the context. But if it's in the middle of a city center, a busy, active city center, now you need to think, this is not usual. This cannot happen. In the same way, whenever you encounter a situation that in itself is not a bad situation, check the context in which the situation happens. Look, the first context you need to understand is that we live in a fallen world. Mankind, for the biggest part, is in a fallen state. And in this fallen state, mankind is self obsessed, or what we would say narcissistic, as well as violent. I'm going to be very clear about it. Not everyone is physically violent, but they are violent with their expectations and their demands. So, in that context, you need to understand there are going to be people who will do good things for you without any intention to take advantage of you. Those exist. You even have worldlings who will just do something good for you and then forget all about you. Those people exist. They are around. But when it comes to uh, society, the collective, never expect it. The collective will never do something for you just for free, just to benefit you. The collective, when they do something for you, is always because they want to have some leverage over you. Now, if someone becomes paranoid and think that everyone out there is like a snake out to get them, well, then you need help. You need therapy. Okay? But if someone thinks that the world is one big happy place where everything happens according to law, according to justice, then you're also out of your mind. Yes, there are good things happening on the earth because there are believers on the earth, and apart from believers, also worldlings with a kind attitude. So, yes, good things happen on the earth. Sudden good things also happen. Even though it may be unusual, they happen from time to time. So, how do you distinguish a genuine good thing that happens from a trap? Again, it's the context you need to look at. Look, for example, I'm going to give an example to you. And you tell me whether this example is just just a good thing that happens or whether there's something behind it. Okay? Are you ready? So, let's start with the first example. Someone arrives at the college. They grew up in the countryside. Let's say it's a guy. This guy grew up in the countryside. He's not used to cities and he arrives at the college. At arrival, the first 3 days, he barely made contact with people. On the fourth day, um, a female student made eye contact with him, and the eye contact led to him befriending several people over there. And long story short, of his freshman year, he was quite popular. He had a long-term sexual relationship now. He had a job over there, and he had a whole new perspective in life. Now, does this sound to a genuine good thing to you, or does it sound like a trap? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know. I'll give you a minute before I continue. All right. 3 people say it's a trap. What about the rest? So 45 seconds before I continue. Some said they will need more information for sure. Others said sounds genuine. Half a minute more, then I'll continue. I'm giving you these assignments because I want to train your discernment. That's why. This is an online school, by the way, so that's why I'm training your discernment during these lives. Okay? Just 15 seconds, then I'll give more explanation about this example. All right. All right. So some people said, well, it sounds genuine. One individual said sounds genuine. Another individual said, I need more information to feel sure. Well, let me tell you, it's a trap. Now, let me explain to you why it's a trap. Let's go from the start. You have this young man who grew up in the countryside, and he moves to a town. Okay, it's a new environment. He arrives at the college, and in the first 3 days, he doesn't make any contact with people. Okay, that shows already that he's a bit shy or he's not really socially adept. Okay, so that's something he needs to work on because he's used to the countryside where everyone is quite intimate directly. So now he's in a big city. So that is his weakness. He's in a transition. But look at this. Colleges have introduction days before they actually start with classes. Okay? So you're not just admitted to a college and then you just arrive at the college and bang, there are classes. No, there are introduction days. Sometimes 1 or 2 days. And today you also have social media that you can get into. So, but let's say this happened before social media. You had introduction days, and at introduction days, the college or university has students, all more major students were almost graduating assigned to make contact with you. So if for the first 3 days nobody paid attention to you, that doesn't mean that's a hoax. They see you. But the fact that they didn't interact with you is because they noticed a weakness with you. And on the fourth day, someone contacted you, and suddenly everything went smoothly. That means for the first 3 days, you're being observed. And behind the scenes, it was decided, we can recruit this guy. And that's why after you met that one girl that was making eye contact with you, um, things happened very swiftly. If it was a guy that was staring at you, you would think, why is that guy looking at me like that? Like that? He would have become uncomfortable. But because it was a woman, and a pretty woman, he thought, why not? So in this case, this example is a trap. Now, it sounds genuine. Why does it sound genuine? Because you don't hear any negative facts in it. That's why. So based on that, you would think, the situation is completely good. But when you look at the context of the situation, a college, someone in freshman year. When you think about the context, you think this is unusual. But if you don't consider the context, you would easily think, oh, this is a genuine situation. Okay, let's go to another example. Jenny is riding her bicycle. Suddenly, her bicycle crashes in the middle of the road. Someone passes by and gives her a lift uh, to the nearest shop where they can fix the bike, and she never hears of that individual again. Trap or such as a genuine good thing? Let me know in the live chat. I'll give you a minute. Okay. Someone says genuine. Now, I'll give you another minute more. What about the rest? What do you think about it? All right. Okay. Now, here it is. She rode on a bicycle. The bicycle broke down. She got a ride to a near shop where they could fix the bicycles. Okay. So the driver didn't bring her to her home. The driver wasn't even interested in home. Driver just brought her to the nearest shop. Okay, they can fix your bike over here, and he just left. In this case, the driver had no bad intentions, and there was no um, trap whatsoever. So this is just a genuine good thing that happened. Okay. Okay, but let's use that same example, but amplify it a little bit more. Jenny is riding her bicycle during the night. Oh, now this more. Now it's another context. During the night, and the bicycle breaks down. And during the night, someone arrives in a car, offering her a ride. Now, what's wrong with this amplified example? Just tell me what's wrong with it. Just let me. I'll give you a minute to do it. What is wrong with that amplified example? Okay, let me repeat it one more time. Jenny is riding a bicycle at night. Okay? Her bicycle breaks down. And then someone comes around offering her a ride. someone in the car comes around offering a ride. In this example, even before we continue, something is wrong. Tell me what it is. I'll give you a minute. All right. So I read people mentioning that someone after a stranger in the middle of the night are right. Now, someone even mentioned kidnapping. Now, well, that's not what I was aiming at, but that also something that's a bit weird. But the first thing is, she was riding her bicycle in the night. Why was she even outside at night riding her bicycle? Okay, someone say, well, she just came from work. Why is she working so late? And if she wasn't working, but she came from a party, why didn't she take a cab home, or you could say a taxi? So in this case, the woman herself put herself in a risky situation that no woman who thinks for a while would do. So the fact that she put herself in such a risky position without thinking about it shows you that she is not managed well by her community. Because if she was the type of girl that was raised by well managed parents, they would have put in her mind never put yourself in such risky situations. But the fact that she just went, just did something as risky as that shows you that there was some neglect going on in her life. And she's a woman, remember, she's not a guy, she's a woman. And if she put herself in such a risky position to ride a bicycle at night, either because she's working till late or she came from a party or whatever, that means that she's doing more risky things. That means it's in her behavior to be to do risky stuff that puts her at risk. So obviously, someone has been watching her, and someone knows that she is the type of woman that does risky things with her life without even realizing how risky she is in her behavior. So because of that, people knew that she was likely riding her bicycle at that route that night. So what if someone sabotaged her bike while her bike was stalled somewhere, knowing full well if she rides the bicycle, eventually it will crash with her. And then they arrive to offer her a ride. So, what I'm teaching you with this example is the following. Often, people don't recognize risky situations, and it is because they themselves have been neglected in how they were raised. Now, I'm not saying this neglect was done on purpose. Maybe their parents and their environment was really um, backwards and they didn't know any better. I doubt it, but that can be the case. But sometimes people are not shaped well by the environment, and because of that, they do things they better shouldn't do. So, because of that, they can't even realize that their own behavior may be self sabotaging. Okay? So, when your own behavior is kind of self sabotaging because it makes you too accessible for predators or dangerous people, that in itself is a red flag. But a lot of people don't notice this about themselves. Others do. So that's why in this case, this woman on her bicycle at night, she didn't realize the the odd thing she was doing. So that's why when the car arrived to offer help, she was not in the right mental state to see that, danger, get out of here. Even though her inner radar may go off, she's not even in tune with her inner radar. And that's one thing I'm teaching you very plainly here. When you are dealing with someone, check their behaviors. Check it. If someone is doing stuff that once, listen, when you are involved with someone, check their behaviors. And then when you're fasting and praying, reflect on their behavior. Check someone's behavior when you're dealing with them, and in fasting and praying, reflect on their behavior. And once you come to the conclusion that they have behaviors that are a bit too risky, and you notice that they have many of such behaviors, that you know you're dealing with an individual who's not properly raised, or they're badly shaped by the environment. Or you're dealing with a dangerous individual, because dangerous people also tend to they tend to put themselves at risk. But don't automatically think, "Oh, this individual is bad news." No, just reflect on them and check the context. Indeed, if nobody was willing to correct her nor to guide her, and bad things happen to her, they are also accountable for when something bad happens to them. So, when you reflect on someone's behavior while fasting and praying, and you get to the conclusion that it's a chronic thing with an individual and not just an incident, the thing you do is you pray on behalf of that individual. And you're not going to break contact, but you limit the amount of contact you have with them. Because even if they are not bad people, even it's not their fault that they were neglected, they are still risky to be around for you and for other people. So that's what we do. So that is why I'm telling you, when you look at the situation, you should always check the context of it. Who is involved? where did they come from, and then you see what's going on. And one thing you need to understand here, someone must be significantly wounded energetically before they can be kidnapped or anything bad can happen to them. Unless they're children, because children can do almost anything to children, because children, yeah, are just children. But once you're dealing with someone in their teens and older, in their mid-teens and older, you can't just come and drag them away like that. There must be sufficient neglect happening to them that makes them wounded so that you can easily target them. Someone that's neglected by the community can easily be victimized compared to someone that is nourished well by the community. And if someone is not even aware they're being neglected, well, that can also make it easier for you to take advantage of them. So there must be an open door, an easy opportunity for bad things to happen to someone. You can't just do bad stuff to just anyone out there. It does not work that way. There must be a window of opportunity presented to you. So, about the example, the last example I gave, okay? Let's go to continue with example. So, Jenny's bicycle broke down. Someone offers her a ride, but then she looks and sees that it's one of her former roommates. And the former roommate, a woman, asks her, Jenny, what are you doing outside so late? Oh, well, I just came from work. I had to overwork. And she tells him, Jenny, get in. You can't be driving your bicycle at this hour. Is your boss out of his mind? Make you overwork that way? Now, in this case, for some reason, there was intervention spiritually that happened on her behalf. It wasn't a kidnapper, but it was someone that she was roommates with that for some reason was out there. And it was going on behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, she had a grandmother that was praying on her behalf for her safety. She had a grandmother decreeing safety on her. And because of that, despite that she was in risky behaviors, the prayers worked out that one of her former roommates um, forgot her passport somewhere, and she had to drive all the way back to pick up her passport. And when she was driving back home, she found Jenny with a broken bicycle at night. So that's how powerful prayers are. A lot of people out there, the only reason why nothing bad has happened to them yet is because of the intercession of some believers on their behalf. So, the way you recognize a situation that's too good to be true is when the context is off. And this is something I want you to learn well, because this is something mainstream media does to you often. They don't give you the context of a situation. In all, and they do this to trap you in self-fulfilling prophecy. When mainstream media puts a spell on you, they omit the context. Before I continue, do you understand it till now? Do you understand what I've explained till now? Let me know in the live chat. Because I don't want to overwhelm you with knowledge and you are lost in it. Do you understand it all till now? Let me know. All right. Now I'm going to give an example of how mainstream media put a spell on millions of people. I'm going to use a recent example. Well, it's not really that recent. It happened 7 years ago now. I've spoken about the case of these two Dutch women who went on a hiking in Panama and they went missing and later they were declared dead. Chris Kremers and Lisanne Vroon. Who of you has watched that live stream that I've made about it? And who of you have watched the other videos about the topic also? Let me know in the live chat if you did so. So, about the case of those two women that went missing. All right? So, I remember in 2014 when the death story came on the mainstream media, on the Dutch media, they were saying two Dutch women went on a hiking and they went missing after a hike. What happened to them? They kept repeating it over and over again. Even the parents flew over to Panama to figure out what's going on, and it remained quiet for a while. Suddenly, several weeks later, backpacks were found. Well, one backpack, I believe, and one of them, yes, it was one backpack, and they found a camera in it, and the backpack was dry. When I heard that in 2014, I was already thinking, okay, this is bad. This is a setup. But shortly afterwards, the Dutch media was saying accident. They kept repeating it was an accident, tragic accident. Now, at the time, I didn't look into the case any further because remember about me and about what I was going through 2014. I went through a lot of tribulation back then, which I didn't know how long it would last. It lasted till 2016 somewhere. So I kind of forgot about the case because I was going through a lot myself. So later, around 2018, when I heard about when I checked the case again, I was thinking, hold on a minute. How come the Panamanian authorities declared it a homicide and they were determined to go after it? But then the Dutch government sent their specialists over there, and suddenly there's a new prosecutor became involved, and she and the Dutch authorities say it's an accident. And I was thinking, what? So before the Dutch authorities became involved, they all were agreeing it's a homicide. Now that the Dutch authorities are involved, it's suddenly an accident. And it's very tragic what happened to them. I was thinking, get out of here. Seriously. Now, now let's look how the media casts a spell on folks about this. They gave you information of the girls going missing. They showed the pictures that they were on holiday over there and all of that. They did that. What they didn't tell you was that the girls were there to teach at a school, but the school suddenly replaced their starting date to a week later. That they didn't tell you in the media. Because if they would have told you that from the start, everyone would say, something's off here. They omitted that. So you were thinking, oh, what happened to those girls? They may still be alive, maybe not. So they got you into this roller coaster ride of what's going on. Then we have the backpack being found, and then suddenly they turn into an accident. Everyone keeps repeating accident, accident, accident. There's a spell that you put on people. Why is it a spell? Because your natural senses tell you that this is a setup. But then they tell you, no, it's an accident. We are the experts. We decided. Who are you? You don't know anything. So now they are downplaying your own intuition. And listen, when someone downplays your intuition, It is because they want to control you. So the Dutch authorities, mainly the Dutch authorities, did not want people to look into the case any further. That was obvious about it. But because they downplayed the intuition of people, a lot of people entered into a mind fog. Thinking, what? Accident? Accident? Why are they saying accident? Oh, but they're the experts. We're not. So that means we must be dumb. There must be something we're not familiar with, so they must know it better. So they're training you and conditioning you to hand over your discernment to other people. And that spell worked on a lot of folks. But there were still people all over the world who were witnessing this case unfold in the media that were saying, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. If it's an accident, tell us where the accident happened and tell us how the bodies ended up kilometers away and how the backpack ended up dry somewhere. So someone found the backpack, kept all their clothes, kept all their clothes, their passports, and all of that dry, and they placed it in a bush for a village to find. So even that's a setup. Why do you find someone's backpack and you keep them all while you know in the media they're looking for those people? And look, what they've done with this Chris Kramer's and his son of Throne case, that's what they often do. They show you evidence that resonates with your intuition, and then they say the contrary out of the blue. Just to make you think you are crazy, to make you think that you're stupid, to make you think that you're worthless. And by you feeling that way, you develop uh, a codependency on, on mainstream media. And by doing that, demons now have an easy grip on you. It's very important to understand this because mainstream media does this most of the time. For example, in Britain, this is a case that most of you likely don't know because they didn't give it much attention. Probably because the victim was black. In Britain, there was this guy who grew up in Ireland. He was from African descent. He was an African guy with he had short dreads. He was completely black, but he grew up in Ireland, and so he spoke English perfectly. He moved to England and he joined a football team. And I believe was also in college, and he had a white British girlfriend also. This guy one night went missing, and later his body was found in a forest somewhere in England. And immediately the media says the police doesn't think it's foul play. And they kept repeating that. Hold on a minute. Please. You have a guy from Africa, or actually he's completely black. So whether he was born in Ireland or he migrated there, doesn't matter. Okay? He grew up in Ireland and he moved to England. And he had a life there in England. He had friends, he had a long-term sex partner, and one day he just leaves his home to go near a forest and he is found dead. By the way, how did he find the body in a forest? A forest is quite big. If a body is at a forest, there must be people hiking there or whatever to find the body. So someone must have given a tip that the body may be there. How did they know? But then they keep saying no foul play. And this happened multiple times in Britain lately. So in this case, they do the exact same thing. The facts show you bad news. Your intuition confirms it. Then they tell you your intuition is wrong. because we know better. We are the gods, you are the cattle. So your opinion, your view is worth nothing. That is a mindset they're instilling in you. And by them forming this mindset in you that you think that you're nothing, that limits you from recognizing dangerous situations. So that mindset they are shaping in you also endangers you in the long run. So I'm telling you, mainstream media is not your friend. Natisha, thank you for your super chat donation. Very much appreciated. Thank you very much. And this happens a lot. Now, do accidents and instant tragedies just happen? Yes. And do such tragedies may lead to dead people? Yes, it happens. Is every death out there the result of foul play? Not a no. I'm not saying that. But once when the circumstances are suspicious and intuition hints to you something's being hidden, you are correct. But society doesn't want you to be in tune with your intuition. Society wants you to be in tune with the media. They want you to be in tune with Hollywood. They want you to be in tune with the corporate world. They want you to be in tune with your job. They want you to be in tune with what society, what they expect of you. They don't want you to be in tune with your intuition, which is one of your natural senses. That is the last thing they want you to be. And that's why in the beginning of this live stream, I gave you some examples in which I wanted you to use your intuition. These are just examples I made up, but I gave you those exercises to train your discernment. I often do that during live streams because mainstream media, as well as other factors in society, do the opposite. They're numbing down your intuition to make you easier to exploit. They're turning you into capitalistic human capital. That's what they're doing. Oh, and here's the thing. When you have a case where nothing adds up, just know this case is being used to numb you down. And I'm not going to give you another example of something that actually happened, but it's a ritual that failed. Now, those of you who are above age 50 may know about this. If you're younger than 50, then like you don't know it. In the 1960s, somewhere, or it was in the late of the 1950s, but anyway, around that time, there was this incident, so called, that the mainstream media talked about, the Tonkin incident. It was a so called incident when the North Vietnamese military attacked the US Navy in the sea right near Vietnam. And this was the justification used by mainstream media in the United States to justify the USA involvement in Vietnam and to justify the now Vietnam War, in which many young men enlisted and went to fight. But when the same mainstream media began to report about the dead bodies and the children being harmed, the American public turned on mainstream media and they turned on the military. Now, this was not expected. Mainstream media expected the public to validate the war. But the public, especially the white folks, turned on the whole situation, demanding it to end. The backlash was so big that even amongst the military, some people deserted thinking, what is this? And it kind of embarrassed the United States. And the United States even escalated the war all the way into Cambodia also. Now, eventually, when it became obvious that the United States had no justification to be there, they retreated. They left. Instead of admitting they lost, they retreated. They left 3 million Vietnamese dead bodies over there, and also many Cambodians that died. Now, Vietnam took over the South. Vietnam was unified, but till this day, the country is afflicted by that trauma. But now, even back then, about that Tonkin incident, there were people asking, okay, if the North Vietnamese attacked the US Navy, where did they get the where did they get the resources to do it? Where did a guerrilla militia get the airplanes from or the other ships to do this thing? Because China was not in harmony with North Vietnam at all. Russia was far away. I mean, the Soviet Union was far away. So who would support them? So that was another thing. Then people were asking, okay, if there were dead soldiers, dead sailors, I mean, mention the name of the dead sailors, mention the relatives, show the funerals. There were so many things about that incident that didn't add up with reality. And people then began to point it out. But mainstream media kept saying Tonkin incident was why we were there in Vietnam. Now, about 30 years later, I believe somewhere in the 2000s, there were people from the military and from the CIA that came out and admitted the Tonkin incident never happened. What? It never happened. They made up a tragic event to make the United States look like the victim just to justify the United States putting their military in Vietnam. That's what they've done. Yes, the Tonkin incident was a hoax. It never happened. And because it's around 30 years after the fact, and many of the people that were directly affected by the hoax already passed away, now there's not that much backlash about it. There should have been still a backlash about it when it came out that it never happened, but people kind of, well, people have been so numbed down in their intuition that they're not even enraged by the fact that thousands of USA soldiers died. Many went missing. Veterans were traumatized for life, all because of an incident that never happened. So don't tell me mainstream media is your friend. There may be journalists who are friendly to you. There may be journalists who are your friends, but mainstream media is not your friend. Look, I have a cousin twice removed from St. Thomas. St. Thomas is USA territory, part of the, I believe, the USA Virgin Islands. St. Thomas became USA territory in 1917 when Denmark conceded it to the United States. So I have this cousin from St. Thomas. I speak to him from time to time, and I asked him about his experience in the Vietnam War. But he told me, Rashid, I don't want to talk about it because I don't even know why we were there. I'm still wounded by what happened. Now he's an I don't want to call him old because that's worldly, but he is in, I believe, in his 60s or 70s right now. He was a very young man. He was quite young. I believe he was 19 or something like that when he went into the war. Many of the people he knew, the other young men died, and he never got answers why they were even there to begin with. So, if they are willing to make up an event that never happened, at the expense of the lives and safety of so many people. Forget about the soldiers for a moment. Think about the relatives of the soldiers. Think about the 3 million Vietnamese people that died. Think about the Vietnamese community. If they're willing to sacrifice the well-being of so many people just to advance their agenda, what makes you think they're not doing it till this day? They're doing it. Numbing down your intuition. And here's the thing, it's because people are aware of some of the manipulation that you have to retract some of the stories. When police brutality kills unarmed black folks, for example, first they want first they want you to develop shock, and then they tell you it's justified, just to condition you to feel okay with black folks being victimized and killed. That's what mainstream media is doing. It's because of the backlash from a lot of people that often you can't get away with it. Because there are people that are awake that open their mouths. And there's another way that mainstream media numbs down your intuition. I've explained them using um, fake events or abusing uh, tragedies to numb your intuition. There's another way they do it. It's with those fake success stories that your intuition will tell you this ain't real. Have you ever heard those self help gurus telling you, hey, I grew up without a father, I grew up in the ghetto, I used to be arrested often by the police, but look at me today. I'm a self made millionaire, I have my private jet, I have everything working for me in my life, and you can do exactly the same if you follow my principles. Have you ever heard those self help gurus saying things like that? Let me know in the live chat. Now, when you hear such stories, you think, yay, that means I can get out of this situation of being stuck financially also. So it kind of triggers euphoria in you. But then your mind is telling you something's off with the story. How can this man who was a felon with a criminal record, how could he bypass all those societal barriers? And he's from a migrant background. So there's also racism involved. How could he? He may not be black, but he still faces racism. How can he, the victim of white supremacy, as well as a felon with a criminal record, how could he bypass all those barriers so smoothly without any resistance? So you think, huh? No. But because you see the guy giving lectures and you see an audience, and the audience is paying close attention to what he is saying, you think, okay, it must be real. Because why would else would people pay all their money to go to this lecture to see this guy talk? But there's the thing, that video they show you of him giving lectures and people pay attention to it, it's fake. All those people are actors. And often that guy doesn't even live in that big mansion he has shown you. He doesn't even own the private jet, and he doesn't own all those cars. He may be living in a big flat somewhere, and he gets paid as an actor to fill this role of this superhero guru. And here's the thing, with those self-help gurus, one thing I've noticed, They always give you some crumbs of information that excites you and then tell you about no, but to know the really deep secrets you need to pay. And you end up paying for a package. You end up spending money over and over again, but the smooth success never comes for you. And then you get depressed thinking, what am I doing? And what am I doing wrong? And before you know it, you realize, but that self-help guru, he uses pagan symbols. He uses symbols related to Greek gods. Let me look into those Greek gods for a moment. And before you know it, you're alerted to the paranormal, into devil worship. That's how they do it. Those self-help gurus out there are there to cause you disappointment, just to trick you into devil worship. Let's take the story of Mark Zuckerberg for a moment. How many of you really believe that Mark Zuckerberg was just a college student that together with other college students decided a social media website, and that website suddenly became successful to the Facebook it is today? How many of you believe that story? Let me know in the live chat. I'm glad I have subscribers with discernment over here. Some of you believed it in the beginning. Listen, I can still remember in 2000 and I believe it was 2008 somewhere when I heard about this thing called Facebook. I had MySpace back then. I had, I believe, 2 MySpace accounts, and I also had other pen pal websites that I was using. So when I heard about Facebook, let me type in www.facebook.com and check it out. When I saw that website of Facebook, I was thinking, who designed this ridiculous thing? It looked like an FBI database. Literally. I'm familiar with crime documentaries. So when I looked at Facebook, how it looked like in 2008, I was thinking, this is like an FBI database. This is not there's nothing social here. So I was thinking, this thing is never going to succeed, man. This is quite ridiculous. The website didn't even work properly. So I thought, I'm not even going to make a profile over here. Soon after that, I realized everyone's talking about Facebook, 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 Facebook. So I decided, you know what? I went into prayer, and the Holy Spirit was telling me, make a Facebook profile. So I did it. I have that profile till this day. And I was shocked how Facebook grew and grew and grew. I had 2 MySpace accounts that were inactive. Let me give you the context. I was on MySpace, but I got tired of it because I was thinking it isn't going anywhere. So I was thinking, do I make another MySpace account or do I try this Facebook? God told me go to Facebook, and indeed, for the ministry I would have later on, it was more beneficial. But then governments began to use Facebook. Then you had companies using Facebook. Facebook exploded, and this Mark Zuckerberg suddenly appeared, and I was thinking, is this the guy behind Facebook? He doesn't look that intelligent. I'm keeping it real. He didn't even look that intelligent to me. And I noticed this guy looks very weird. He has a very odd blank expression in his eyes. He barely shows emotion. I'm thinking, why does he look like a robot? Come on. So long story short, I figured out very quickly that whole story of college students just making up a website and suddenly becomes a success. It's a hoax. It's too good to be true. And I even doubt whether Mark Zuckerberg is really the one behind it. I even doubt whether Mark Zuckerberg is a real person. I really doubt that also. But that may be another video for another time because he looks very unnatural. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't look any natural at all. But okay. So, by using Facebook as a success story, they kind of told everyone, you don't know how to be social. We know what social is. That's why we designed this thing called Facebook and we designed all these platforms so we tell you how to connect with other people. Before Facebook, social media was social. I used social media before 2009 when Facebook blew up. And I can tell you how social media was then and how it is now. I prefer to go back to how it used to be before 2008. Because then you actually had connections with people that you met online. Now you see databases and you kind of treat people in a psychopathic way. And that is why I stopped listening to those success stories. Because listen, apart from being a believer, I'm also a scholar. I'm an anthropologist also. And so I was thinking, these stories are way too convenient. They're way too good. They're way too easy. Because I knew that society has a lot of restrictions on it as an anthropologist. So I'm thinking, how can any scholar with any humanities degree even believe this nonsense of Facebook? And Facebook uses the color blue. Blue is the color used for enforcement. And then you hear that the CIA is also backing up Facebook. Aha! CIA is backing up an ugly looking website made by some college students? No, 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 no. CIA backs up because CIA is the one that made it. That is what it is. They made it. And here's the thing, how come Facebook becomes a success and they don't even know who are the ones that made it? Afterwards, they said this is the guy that made Facebook. No, if something's becoming a success, the creators must be in the picture from the start. And now you have this invisible enemy that emerged from China that's afflicting, so-called afflicting all of us. And we need all types of restrictions to protect us for our own good. Get out of here, man. Seriously. I'm not mentioning the name of that invisible enemy because the YouTube algorithm may go crazy on my channel. Okay? But I hope you understand which invisible enemy I'm talking about. And if you even question the 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 power of this invisible enemy, if you even question their measures against this invisible enemy, they may even delete your channel on YouTube or on Facebook or on whatever. This invisible enemy, man, don't even mention its name in an unworthy manner because they come after you. Just one tip, it has the number 19 in it. That's the invisible enemy I'm talking about. I've been quite skeptical about that invisible enemy from the start because there are too many things about this invisible enemy that doesn't add up. They are worshiping that invisible enemy. You have to believe in the power of that invisible enemy to harm you. If you don't believe in that power of that invisible enemy, oh dear, oh dear, they come after you. You can doubt anything right now, but the moment you doubt that invisible enemy, they're ready to crucify you. These videos are spirituality videos, Brittany. All of them. So, because people's discernment have been numbed down for decades, the common population today has difficulty using their common sense. I teach from the Bible in some videos, but I don't do Bible teachings like churches do. I don't do that. So, you have this invisible enemy approaching, and suddenly they have the solution to fight the invisible enemy, and they don't oblige you to participate in their solution, but if you don't comply with it, they want to make life hard on you. Look, there are people out there who just don't want to admit that they have been scammed. Well, that's on them. And I already told you in another live stream of mine that when people are under a spell, the spell only lasts for a moment, for a maximum of 2 or 3 years. After that, if people still believing in the thing they've been scammed into, then they are in on the scam also because they don't want to face anything. So I'm telling you, do not be fooled by just looking at an incident or looking at the situation. Check the context of it. Don't doubt the situation without any proof. The proof is that there's something wrong with the context. If there's something wrong with the context, only then you should doubt at something. Don't just doubt something for the sake of doubting it. You should only doubt a situation or an event if the context doesn't add up. So I'm not teaching paranoia on this channel. I'm telling you to use your discernment properly in daily life. Well, this live stream has been a bit long. I don't want to make it too long for you because some of you came in later so you can play it back and make notes. Thank you for being here, and please keep your eyes open and agree with Christ.